How's it going, people? So I've been meaning to do this since we got back from Nats, but we had a bunch of news to cover. We had a ban list. We haven't had a coffee and cardboard this week because we did it on Wednesday, so it's thrown all the schedule out. We'll catch up with all the news that we've missed next week, and it should be substantial enough to actually be a video because it really wasn't this week because of it being thrown out by Nats. I'm going to be looking at Mathmech today and posing the question of how do we fix it, because I am not having that it's unplayable. It doesn't make sense. You've got a power card at 3, fair enough. It's been hit to 1. That is the central piece of the deck, and that should kill it. However, it's really not. You had it at 9, it's been hit to 7. So, we'll have a look at my Nats list first. So, Nibiru and Bell, they're just cross-out targets. It was a bit of a rough format. And they are... Honestly, Bell's a silver bullet. If you don't have the conflict set up, Bell just rolls you on its own. It's pretty fantastic. Nibiru's a bit mid, because by the time they nib you, you've got your setup and you're good to go with your super factorial. It's also not a lot to ask to then just pop off a couple of extenders after the fact and just throw out a code talker, so you've potentially got a live conflict as well. So anyway, they are the kind of like, I had the slots and I'm playing cross out anyway, may as well play a couple of targets. Very clearly the cross out is for Droll, because that hurts. Droll was the MVP and was pretty instrumental in a lot of the games I lost. Not all of them, but it was kind of the adverse. If I had conflict set up, I don't think I lost a game. If I got drolled and didn't have the answer to it, I don't think I won a game. So, may as well have the other targets. Parallel Exceed, I do not like this at 2, because for 1, it is a fantastic bridge, so you don't want to diffuse them when you're using it for a bridge. For 2, if you draw 2, that's devastating if you only play 2, and it's a good card. Fine opening it. Even opening it at 2, great bridge, great fodder for you know, whatever. It's a discard outlet as well. It's fine in my experience. If you want to, you can play it at 2, obviously. I would if not for Small World. But with Small World in the equation, it being such a good bridge, I like the flexibility there to do it. The brick, Phantom, which is kind of only sort of a brick. It's a really upsetting brick, because if you are forced to commit to it, without having the defensor, then you just get your trap. Your trap is incredibly powerful, or you can search for an extender, but you don't get the bodies that are consequential through running through it. A lot of people aren't particularly a fan of it because it's a level 5. I might overvalue it, but I don't think so. Conflict is a house. So, yeah. We've got the 3 circular, centerpiece of the deck. Everyone knows what it does. A lot of people dislike it. I love it. The Defensor, I thought was great. Mainly in this build, because I set it up because if I was using this, it gave me an outlet to play under Droll, or, very best case, I could have my cake and eat it, which we'll get into when we get into the extra deck. Only one of each extender of the Mathmechs. 3 diameter. It's the beautiful feels bad moment of you hit your Allen Burst and you go, huh, that sucks. Anyway, I'll just drop my diameter. I had it. It's really good at 3. It's fantastic in top decking. A lot of people think circular is like the boy in top decking. It's not. It's diameter. In my opinion, it's a bit more flexible. Sigma, it's your main combo line. You play two in case one gets interacted with. You play two in case you need to small world one away. Because if you open the small world and you open one of these, nothing else, you're far better getting to your circular through a Cyburst bridge, and then you get it anyway through the circular, sending as cost. Um, if it gets ashed or whatever, you don't lose out on this. If it gets hit after the fact, feels bad, but you know what you're gonna do, needs must. 3 ash. I absolutely hate branded. It's pretty good in general. It hits labyrinth, it hits branded, it hits a lot of stuff. It can hit Mathmech, it can do alright in the mirror. Unless it's that feels bad moment of they just drew it anyway, or they had one of the searches. We've been over Bell. Ibley, it's it's at home. I don't fully understand why Cyburst decks don't really seem to capitalise on this, but as well as being completely searchable, I mean, I guess it is in Sprite and whatnot anyway, but being incredibly searchable, as searchable as anything else, you can also create situations where they out your Ibley, and then you go, that's cool, I'll just give it right back to you. If you're running into a board, it is a 1 card access code. Because if your transcode is in the graveyard, you summon this, summon the transcode to link point, boom, access code. This is no better than in this deck, in my opinion. It doesn't perform any better anywhere else. But I don't really agree with the card. I don't like it, but you know what? We're playing competitively. You kind of gotta. You can do really insane stuff with this deck. You can V-lock them and give them an Ibley, so they're forced to crash. And then when they go for the crash, you just bounce it back into your own hand, and then do it again. You can set up the kind of situations where you just out it and you hand it straight back to them, so they've got to out it twice, but instead of giving them a generic link 2, you just hit them off the ling as well. So like you factorial the ling away, leave the Ibley up. It's obnoxious. But it is mainly just that. It's more of a stall tool, and it's a flexible one at home. Microcoder. I love this card. It's absolutely amazing. It searches either mining or conflict with no cost. It was a bit of a weird one putting it to 2, but I kind of figured I've got like 4 other ways of getting to the conflict. So it's pretty accessible. The Drolls, we just needed them. Super Heavy Samurai was really real. The Mathmech mirror was really real. A lot of things like to search. It was Droll format, so the Drolls were obviously in there. Side up mining, need to search. I still like Equation. I wouldn't go as far for any of the other spell traps. Now that Mystic Mine is gone, I think it was Ignition. Induction. Yeah, I don't think Induction's necessary. I'm really not a fan of Billion Blades. Like this is my alternate target. I would rather have the extender if I have drawn Super Factorial. It's kind of a house going second as well, just having that free like grab this as part of my combo anyway, and then be able to push into a board harder. Small World, it's Small World, and this deck is so good at exploiting Small World. There is a bridge to everything. You've just got to will it into existence. I'm fairly sure. I've not yet found something where like there is just no bridge. You can mess up your bridge, like obviously like Ash into Addition does not equal Circular because both level 4, but what have we got, like Ash into Ibley does. There's routes, there's ways. Nib being a light is pretty nice. although you're not playing any more rocks or anything like that. Either way, Small World's fantastic in this. Cross out. Stop drolling me. It hurts. Consequence of Super Heavy being like really, really on the ball. Droll was pretty bad for me, but we've been through that. Super Factorial, Powerhouse Trap, and Conflict. I'm working under the impression that everyone is kind of aware of all of these cards at this point. If not, hopefully, just flashing them up is gives you enough time to quickly pause the video and, you know, check them if you really want to. Because I've been a beginner before, I know everyone has, and going like real quick through all this stuff can be a little bit unhelpful when you don't have an encyclopedic knowledge of like the metagame at large. So there it is. Right, extra deck. Deceive Worm. There is a change in this extra deck. I did not play the Proxy Magician, I don't believe. Deceive Worm. If you are playing Proxy Magician, you can hard mate this and you get a double summon, so you can double summon while you're double summoning. Basically, you stick this behind the Proxy... Is it Proxy Magician? It is Proxy F Magician. You stick it behind the Proxy F Magician. The Proxy F Magician gives you an extra special summon from hand, and the Deceive Worm can do that as well. It is a really weird hand state where you would ever actually do this, but, you know, realistically, the Proxy F Magician was when I was playing with the idea of V-locking, because it's quite a handy-dandy little V-lock, and you can just hard make Deceive Worm. It's the easiest way to actually make it, but let's be real, it's not here for that. It's here for its graveyard effect. Aggregator. Literally never make it. It's there for the grave effect. It is a really weird imperm. I guess that's how I'd put it. So it will resolve on a separate chain because it's been sent. It has to activate then, and then it will resolve on a separate chain. So you really have to be on the ball with your timings. But an imperm is pretty good. Or so I hear. It's like the 50th best punishment target, but it's actually pretty good in this. I say punishment. Yeah, punishment probably. Alan Bershon, I had this down to 1 just because the extra deck was so tight. I may have bumped it to 2. I think I did for the event. Search your things. The other thing, though, is a lot of this can be this tight, and I was a little bit less worried because this can recur your resources. Basically, you banish this from grave when you've done all your combos, and at the end of the turn it'll just add 1 back, so you're kind of chilling in that aspect. Yeah, and then Laplacian, this is your big blowout. It is Trishula that'll attach an Omni Negate that'll rip 3 cards. It'll send 1 from the field, 1 from the front row, 1 from the back row, 1 from the hand, and that is a send. Yeah, it doesn't target either. It's it is Dingus with Trishula on a Tri-Brigade Revolt. It's nuts. If you don't know what I mean, look all those cards up. But yeah, it's even got a protection effect that everyone forgets, but can be relevant. Unbelievable card. Singularity really did not come up for me. But there's universes where it is very nice. It's kind of a control killer. In that you get set up into a situation where you can just bounce 2 cards. It's a shame it's a Link 6, but that being said, through your line of Defensor, you make your Splash Mage, your Defensor will... So, link off your Defensor, E-Telly out the Phantom, make Splash Mage, Phantom will grab whatever, make transcode, reborn, whatever it's called, splash mage, and you are 5 out of 6 materials there. You just need a loose body. It's really free and easy at points, depending. Funnily enough, the firewall stuff really helps facilitate the firewall. This overperformed during the event. I did not expect it to be that good, but backing this up with a factorial was real nice. So you dump the Deceive Worm into the grave on your turn, so you've got a spell trap negate. This thing is massive, and they cannot activate effects during the battle phase. Negate any monster effects activated by your opponent during the battle phase. Yeah, that's pretty all-encompassing. And then in their turn, because you can send Aggregator, you also get a consequential imperm. It's a bit of a weird imperm, like I said, but yeah, this card did really well. And you're staring down lethal really fast. There's nothing that just gets over it or outs it in a weird way because of its battle phase effect. It's brilliant. 10 out of 10 would play again. Access code, it kills things. It kills everything. It just writes your opponent off. Most of your OTK lines are through this. Heat Soul, it draws cards. It gives you the more controlly aspect. It keeps conflict live. It's got a consequential effect where if you're on 2k life points, you can tag it straight out into a transcode talker, which also puts you straight into range of doing access code things. If you remember all your effects, there's a lot of weird ways that you can get to where you want to be. This is Reborn for Link Monsters. It does some other stuff, but mostly it's a Reborn for Link Monsters. Probably worth remembering that the transcode update jammer OTK still exists, and if you somehow get cut off your access code talker, this is still a thing that you can just OTK out of nowhere with. Not if you've activated Circular though, because it requires a couple of monsters to attack. Update jammer. This is the other enabler. It lets a Cyburst monster that, well, it does a bunch of stuff, but the thing we care about is if you use it for material for your access code talker, punch twice. The other thing is, if you happen to get into a game state where this is in the grave and you make an access code talker, congratulations, it's swinging for about 8k. 8-3? Exactly 8-3. This ended up being cut last minute because I was thinking, who am I kidding? I'm not going to be V-locking anyone during this. And I ended up playing the Arrival Cyburst at Ignista. It is a Kaiju format, but at the same time, sometimes you throw this up against Branded and they just have to stare at it and lose. I ended up putting it up against a Pirelli player, and it applied way more pressure than I expected. Just because this on 4K, they really had to work for it. My top decks weren't good enough in that instance, but it bought me time. Big unaffected towers, pretty good as long as it isn't your entire game plan. This only gets set up with a factorial in the back. You don't prioritize it. It's a, ooh, I have a lot of materials and I can go into this. Nice. Mainly as well, because it's 3 monsters with different attributes and it gains it based on the number of link materials. So unlike this, where you're going to be condensing it down to higher materials as much as possible, this, you need a diversified board that you can just consolidate into it. If you're not putting it on over 3k, don't bother. It's very unlikely that that'll pay off, in my opinion. This is fantastic, and it's how you get your cake and eat it with this deck, because, oh no, we have got conflicting normal summons that if we draw this, well, we've got to summon this because we need to use it, or we're just discarding it and losing value. That's a pretty solid plus, but so is this. So what do? We make inverted. The only reason I had inverted in my deck was, well, I guess it is a code talker that I can use microcoder with that has a slightly more relevant effect than Game 500 instead of just regular Code Talker. I needed a link to for brick situations, and this was from the inception of me playing the deck, and I just preferred this one. Now it matters, because it allows you to special summon a card to a zone it points to from hand on summon. So not only does it let you chain block in certain situations, it will not trigger this. Just be aware of that. This has to be when it's normal summoned. But normally you go through your Mathmech line. If you've opened a firewall or access to it, you go, cool, now I'm going to extend forever. Because that'll pop your firewall out. You link it off, you get all your pluses, you insulate with your trap, you have a great day. People look at your board and go, oh no, I can't get through that. Splash Mage, it's a reborn on a link to. Fantastic. We know this. We've seen this. IP Masquerena comes up a little less. There's less profitable ones in this build than being able to go Masquerena into Unicorn to spin back. You can... Really depends on the setup that you end up wanting at the end. This is difficulty with this deck. It does so many different things that you need to kind of get focused on what you want. So, if you cannot have this, but you want this, but you need a conflict live, so you can't have it because you want to keep your conflict live, then you can Masquerena into this after you've burnt your conflict. That was weird. Something just fell. Yeah, so it offers flexibility there. The gross thing that you can do is if you stick an Ibley in front of this and a Masquerena behind it, if they out your Ibley, you just link into a Heat Soul, get a draw, and say, there's your Ibley back, buddy. No, you keep it. And Lingaribo, it's your link one. Honestly, I found myself wanting more of these. More link ones. Link Spider as well. Like, that came up a few times where I'm like, I could just keep going if I had a Link Spider. So it's a bit weird. The extra deck is really tight and it's really awkward. In the side, Doggerin, because you just can search Kaijus in this. You only need the one. Ibley, because if you're going to be really obnoxious and play Ibley, make sure you can be really, really obnoxious if you're on the absolute back foot and you need to throw it out there. Probably don't do what I do and draw all of your hate and no engine, though. That doesn't work well. Kurikara, I got this last minute because, again, I have the flexibility of Small World to just grab Kurikara, and this is a house. This card is ridiculous right now. Big shout out to Moz. Big thanks to Moz for hooking me up with a Kurikara. Just answers Kashtira. I didn't play any of them, but you can literally just throw your entire hand into a board, and if they've got enough, you're like, Kurikara, normal summon something and just punch for game. Especially if they don't have a diversified board. You can't negate this. It's a Kaiju. It's pretty strong. And you get the reborn at the end of the turn, so if you don't quite game them, but you have pushed it to where they're at, the low on resources. Oh, I see you have a Baron engrave. It's my Baron now. No Baron for you, Baron for me. Cool. Rainbow. It kind of FTKs super heavy if they don't respect it. Really strong, and if they're not dead, I'll be glad to still have it to use. They do have outs, but getting to those outs while they're stuck under an Ibley, while they're dealing with the pressure of, like, if you get to anything, they just die. It's a lot. Dark Rulers. Super Heavy are real, buddy. They that board cannot deal with the Dark Ruler, but I can't deal with that board. Feather Duster, back row sucks. Lightning Storm, back row sucks. Triple Tack, great card, you know. Take someone's Psychic End Punisher, hit them with it, because they were forced into a situation where they didn't want to leave you with a body up that you can capitalise on, but at the same time they couldn't kill you with it, but at the same time they, you know, like, they wanted to keep their life points lower. They have to pick a lane, and they pick the one where they have the life points lower. Bait out a hand trap, go, no, my End Punisher. My End Punisher punches for game. Done. Triple Tactics Thrust, have an excuse to play awful ratios of all the cards you really want to see. Absolutely brilliant. Once again, thank you, Moss, for lending these to me for the day. And an evenly match. Back row, no, stop it. So that's the deck I played, and let's be real, that's a lot of pointless information right now. But it is the shell for what I'm going to try and do next. So, Mathmech post list. I'm pretty stuck, and I would appreciate any comments and help with this, but we're at a point where we've got one circular. This build, I'm looking at just going raw extension and using things like the Gachiria Ignista. Just, it's free body. Same with the Link Infra Flyer. Great bridges, free bodies. We're capitalising on bells because branded can just piss off. It's getting on my nerves at this point. Same with ashes. Bells are just generally pretty good. Runic didn't get hit too much. So, there's a lot of stuff. I have taken the crossouts out, and the drolls you will see are now in the side. Not sure if it's correct yet. We'll see how the format shapes up. But this is all gas, all go. I need to get to my circular. And I need to have adequate names. The only one being mandatory being this. As long as I get Factorial, this, and 2 other names engraved, I'm pretty happy. There's a lot of ways to get there. I haven't changed the extra deck. I probably should. But looking at the main deck, too many Iblis is just too much. They don't fill the gaps. So there are too many normal summons in that instance. If you're not just relying on going Iblis, link off, chuck it to your opponent, back it up with a load of other hate specifically for them, it doesn't work that conducively in the main deck. It's fine as a one-of. That's it. I've tested that, and I'm not happy with more than one Iblis in the main. These, again, this is just, it's very gassy. Your other option is, what are they called? Sakitama and Aritama. So, unless I've got my ruling wrong, I don't think this works as like a double summon. It kind of does. It's very much an OCG plays. And Aratama. Yeah, it's very much an OCG play. It does get you to your Alan version because the 4s. And either way you go about it, you get it, but it absolutely definitely eats your normal. So, unless we're cutting Defensor, unless we're not relying on normal in diameter, and we are happy to foolish it instead of Sigma, and then use the reborn effect of Alan Bershon to trigger circular, the sequencing is just all off for me with what I'm trying to achieve here. The other option is just to play a bunch more hand traps. I mean, I've even got 2 Veiler in here, but you can cut an extender, play another Veiler, cut the extender, cut the Ibly. Like, you can go full heat soul control with it. Yeah, by and large, the side is pretty much the same, apart from the Drolls. So, this is where I'm at with it at the moment. I need to test more, but I wanted to get this video out and get a conversation started. I've already kind of been like commenting on other people's YouTube and stuff, and like trying to find out what I can. There will be more generic Cyburst extenders because that is just what Cyburst do. You could possibly play a small salad package to supplement it, but again, I think that adds more conflicting normal summons when you already have 2 engines that are trying to normal summon, and you're also just jamming the inverted in there to make that happen. I don't know. I really don't know right now. I don't believe for a second it's unplayable, because this and this just means it's 7 copies instead of 9, which is a fine ratio. Obviously you're taking negs along the way, but you really never did care that much. So it's just finding the optimal way to play it. It's either going to be more hand trap heavy, and you go in a more heat soul control route. But in my opinion, the optimal hand traps to do that are not good right now, because Kashtira didn't take a meaningful enough hit, in my opinion. So you would want Skullmeister. Probably at 2. You want Veiler because it's a light and a 1. And yeah, that's kind of your options for the control. I've done videos on it before. You want non-once per turn or incredibly impactful hand traps. Imperm is terrible, and I mean god awful, to draw off Heat Soul. The others not so bad, but if you draw in multiples, which can happen, that's a pretty big oof. Yeah, I mean the Veiler only kind of makes up for it by being such a good bridge as well in this deck. Otherwise, it's particularly bad against Cash. I guess we need to see where the stats go, because then you can tailor everything around it. It's still all in all a pretty condensed shell, and there has been the option without, if you're not going cross out route, like what are we looking at, 3, 6, 7, 8 hand traps. 8 hand traps feels a little light. We could probably do with bumping it up. Yeah, you can probably easily get to like 12 hand traps. So yeah, hit me in the comments. Tell me what you think. Am I way off base? Is the deck dead? I've been having a lot of fun with Sword Soul, but if I'm building that, I've already kind of said I'll build it for con, so we'd end up sharing that. Sword Soul with Denlong is nuts. The extra deck, this is kind of just a copy paste of what happened before. I will probably fine tune this. Definitely another Alan version. Even maybe proactive locations could have a place if you go very heavy on 4 extenders. The bad thing about these very free extenders is the bridges are fantastic because they're weird levels and weird attributes, but it means they're pretty garbo for link material unless it's like just cyber specific and not level requirements. To be fair, most of them are, apart from 2 level 2 or higher to affect monsters, different attributes. So yeah, it's really only 13 ling there. That's actually better than I thought it would be. Yeah, I will give this a pretty solid test once the list drops. I've just been enjoying my list for the last little bit because everyone else is still playing the broken stuff, so yeah, may as well. But yeah, it's late, I'm tired, I have work in way less hours than I would like to. Like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends, hit the bell icon, do all that good stuff, and yeah, please start a conversation. I don't think this deck is on life support, but I think we need to have a pretty solid consideration of how we're gonna fix it. I think I have a weird way of playing it in the first place, but it seems kind of nice with how that ban list rolled out. Other than the fact that that ban list was not particularly friendly to us Cyburst players. But yeah, that's been me. I'm gonna go sleep, and presumably wake up for work and whatnot. Namaste, fuckers. I'll see you next time.